And good evening, and once again, welcome to the Shadow Gallery. I am, as always, your host, James Donnelly. And if you check the time, you'll see little hand on the clock says it's time for new comics, bitches! So, let's get right into it. Okay, so, big week. Lots of stuff this week. And we're going to go over them one by one here. So, what we're going to start off with is Ultimate Comics X-Men, number 9. Now, I've been kind of complaining about this series lately. It's been kind of a disappointment since we have this this kind of first arc that I guess came to an end with issue 6, where, Stryker in his dying moments is taking control of all the Nimrod Sentinels that were sent out all around the world, and then we had these little one-offs with Quicksilver and the Scarlet Witch and so on and so forth, and quite frankly, that was getting boring. But here we have another one-off, and this time it is set in a... They're not, they're certainly not concentration camps. They are camps that are designed for the mutants' safety. And this is the story essentially of Storm, and how she's kind of been facilitating some peace between the human captors and the mutants on the inside. Well, basically, push comes to shove here in this particular issue, because we have Val Cooper basically goes on TV and basically says that in the Ultimate Universe, the mutants are not the result of evolution. They're the result of basically genetic engineering by the United States government. And they try, the people in this, like I said, it's not a prison, it's not a concentration camp, but it is a camp. And basically, the really cool moment is that basically Aurora has had enough. No more, as she says, no more lies in the finale here. And this was a really, really good issue. I'm glad that, of all of the kind of one-off issues that they've had, it feels like Spencer really decided, okay, we've got to step up our game here, and we've got to give people something of what they want to see. And, ultimately with these Ultimate Comics right now, with the exception of Ultimate Spider-Man, essentially what we have is the time-honored tradition of what I affectionately refer to as putting the band back together. So this is, because basically what we've been seeing in these one-offs is, okay, well, here's a character here, here's a character there, here's Jean Grey, here's Storm, here's Colossus. So how are we going to get on? The same thing in the Ultimates. Here's Captain America's off on his own. So how are we going to get these people back together, and so they can go on to do what they're kind of destined to do? And this is, there's no actual outside influence as far as the rest of the X-Men are concerned here, but Aurora definitely thinks that it's time to start getting some fucking answers, and she definitely wants them. So, we have, Spencer and, Paco Medina doing some terrific art in this issue, and just, it goes to show that, Nick Spencer, obviously he has a really good storytelling sense. I think that just in his haste to kind of get to where he wants to go, he's been telling these one-off stories, and they've been, by and large, kind of disappointing. But this is definitely a step in the right direction. This is a pretty easy 4 out of 5. Just really, really good stuff. So moving along, we have Scarlet Spider number 3, which is becoming another terrific surprise. Because when I first reviewed the first issue of this, I was like, yeah, this might be interesting, but it's not. It's kind of interesting, but I want to see something. It's like basically the dark Spider-Man, if you will, and they definitely got some interesting stuff going on here, because we still have the character of Araceli that Kane took in, so that she wouldn't get deported. And then we have this new redhead character for Kane, maybe a potential love interest, who is basically there to kind of help, also to assist with what's going on with Araceli. So, but because of something that happens in literally the first page, we have the kind of portly, almost kind of like Foggy Nelson-ish doctor, unfortunately failed to save this one, perhaps very angry. He failed to save a family, failed to save this man's wife and child, and the man leaves basically saying, you're dead. And lo and behold, a contract is put out on his life. We don't find out who it actually is until later. And we have these attempts on his life, and we have Kane dueling it out with an assassin. But what we don't know is, until, again, the end, is that it's actually a member of the Assassin's Guild. Chris Yost, who I've always, maintained is a very smart writer. He's a very smart storyteller. Sometimes he can get a little off track, but for the most part, he's a very smart storyteller. And Ryan Stegman, really, his artwork definitely harkens back to the 90s era. His art's a little McFarlane-esque, but not in the bad kind of Rob Liefeld, Eric Larson way. It's almost more of a direct imitation in some ways. And sometimes that can be a little bit problematic, but for right now, it's actually working pretty well. I like the way that it's, I like what's going on, and I like, I like what the identity that they've given Kane. That essentially that he's one of those guys that is not always looking out for the other person, but he basically just kind of wants to look out for himself, but he just can't help getting involved in all these situations, because sooner or later, as it does in this issue, it becomes personal. Now, I have no idea whether or not Kane himself was actually a part of the Assassin's Guild at some point in time. Somebody out there who's been following this maybe a little bit more closely than I have can sound off on that. I'd appreciate it. So, but otherwise, it's a really strong book. Again, another solid 4 out of 5. Really enjoyed it. And we have Wolverine and the X-Men number 7. Again, this is Jason Aaron. He's just crushing this book. It's like I said, it's such a it's such a different book from Uncanny X-Men. As I've said any number of times, the books are like night and day. But basically, we have this this little we have Brew. We have our little tiny brood, And we have, this Professor Xanto Starblood, who's basically the guy who's responsible for putting the, millions of brood inside of Kitty Pryde, and basically is there to kill Drew merely for the fact that he is unlike he's unlike the other brood that are out there. He's not a mindless killing machine, and that's why he must be, that's why this Professor Starblood feels that he must be exterminated. We still have the stuff going on in space as far as what's going on with Wolverine and Kid Omega and their kind of, their attempt at swindling. And then we have the battle, of course, going on inside Kitty's womb, and we have a nice little appearance from Abigail Brand, who's a character that I learned to really love, not only in Whedon and Cassidy's run on Astonishing X-Men, but also in Secret Invasion. Because, it's the woman that basically saved Reed Richards single-handedly from however many dozen of Skrulls that there were. God damn that phone. And, so it was just, and then there's this moment also between Kitty and Bobby, which, it's again, it seems like all of their problems are maybe a little bit fixed here, because, things just seem to turn out for the best here, but we just know that, more bad stuff is going to be coming these guys' way. But if it keeps happening in this fun, really, extraordinarily well-paced, nice character beats, if it keeps happening in this extraordinarily entertaining comic that Jason Aaron and artist Nick Bradshaw keep putting out. Now, I know that Chris Pachalo is eventually coming back to this comic, but I'm exceedingly happy with Nick Bradshaw's stuff right now. It's really good. It's very tight. It's just a really good, really good read. So this is a 4.5 out of 5, easy. It's just a really good read, and it's very consistent. I mean, every issue is, it's right up there. So we're going to go back briefly to Chris Yost and his mini battle scars, which is basically, as we did learn, as we kind of knew before, or at least little spoilerish hints were going out all over the place, was that Marcus Johnson, basically his father, is Nick Fury, and this is basically the tale of how Nick Fury ended up with, basically how Marcus Johnson came to be, and the woman that that gave birth to him, and so on and so forth. And we have the reason that Marcus Johnson is being targeted, and because of this super baddie called Orion. He wants basically the Infinity Formula. And, it's something that Fury has been using to prolong his life, although he gave the last batch to Bucky to prevent him from dying. And so there's a lot of, father-son kind of combat here, but as we have here, we have the main baddie gets what he wants, but not before, and the way that he gets what he wants is pretty fucking gruesome. Chris Yost, I mean, again, just this, this whole comic is it's just terrific. It doesn't slow down, it doesn't stop, it just keeps going, and it keeps going in the right direction. So, Scott Eaton's pencils, they're really good. This issue, again, it's another really easy 4 out of 5. There's, I like the dynamic of the whole thing. It's just got the right beats going. So, Very, very happy with Battle Scars, and I think a lot of people are missing out on it because I think it's an undervalued mini. So we'll be back with more comics. So stay tuned.